Hello and welcome to Ukraine Today. I'm Sergei Oganessian. The United Kingdom's exit from the European Union will pose a lot of risks for Europe. And today we are going to talk about that with our guest, Mr. Alexander Hara, a former Ukrainian diplomat and now a foreign policy expert. Mr. Hara, thank you very much for joining me today.
It's a great pleasure to talk to you.
Mr. Hara, the United Kingdom has voted to leave the European Union, and this decision is seen as a major threat both to London, both to Brussels, to economic ties and to political ties. And now Brussels will go into a painful process of severing these ties. So what's the impact, what's the consequences of this decision? What do you think?
First of all, this decision was out of the blue, and nobody expected that the British public decided to quit the European Union. And there was a bunch of reasons why to remain in the EU. And first and foremost, it's economic reasons and the idea that the British state could push above his weight within the EU. Without the EU, it will be just an irregular state in decay. There are a lot of negative consequences of the leave. First and foremost, the drop of the pound. We've seen that some 10% of drop was during these several days, but it's expected to have some more 4% of drop. Secondly, there will be something like 6% minus GDP within 4 years. There will be rise in unemployment in Britain, and certainly the most important thing, there will be some sort of uncertainty within the British Isles and in the European Union. And this uncertainty could cause some troubles to the British industry and especially for financial markets.
And I'm curious, Russians are already praising the Brexit as a heroic deed for the British people, and they say that this move, the other countries are sure to follow, and they name even states like France and the Netherlands. And it's true probably that the left-wing politicians, populists may be getting very vocal in this country. So are we in for a split of Europe? What's the expectation? What's your expectations?
If Russians are so glad to see Britain taken apart from the European Union, let the Caucasian republics to split and to be independent. So the Russians are happy simply because, in their view, they cannot regain their geopolitical weight without dismantling the European Union as a rival in the European continent. That's why they're so happy. And that's why they are supporting financially, ideologically, organizationally, and by other means left-wing people, so-called useful idiots, because they are just fighting against the last empire of the world, the United States, and thus they see the United States, they see Russia as an ally. And far-right people who want more sovereignty, like those who are propagating for the quit of Britain from the European Union. Certainly we will see a wave of rise of right parties in Europe. Some representatives of right parties in the Netherlands, in Sweden, in France said that they are going to follow this example of the Brexit, and they are going to have a referendum. But I'm not sure that they will be so successful.
Why not?
First, we should learn from the British example. It was democratic with no doubt, and it was confirmed by the Prime Minister and by the European partners. But from the other hand, this debate was not sufficient, and the people who went to vote to leave the European Union were not well informed about their decision. And that decision was important not just for them, for the British people, but for the whole of Europe and the European continent. And that's why possibly there is a need to amend constitution, I mean not the British constitution, but the constitution of other countries, that such a decision should be made at least in 2 stages with some time lag between them, that the general public could not be influenced by emotions, and actually there is need to have a reasonable passion. So that's why politicians in other countries should revise their constitution, or at least the procedures how to take such drastic decisions. And from the other hand, I believe that the core European countries will decide to formulate the future of the European Union. Because for 2 years it's been the main idea how to keep Britain in. And now France and Germany and other nations need to work out the plan of what the European Union of future they're going to have.
Great Britain will stay for 2 years, as you said, will be staying for 2 years in the European Union before this process of leaving is ended, right? And I'm curious, what's your opinion on this situation? Will it have any influence on the visa-free regime with Ukraine? Because, well, Great Britain is not part of the Schengen zone, but still I take it their voice is important in the foreign affairs of the European Union. So, and earlier many Ukrainian members of parliament, such as, for example, Irina Gerashchenko, said that this political crisis will force the European leaders to focus on the internal affairs of the European Union, and they will ignore what's going on the outside. So do you think it will influence the decision at all?
Certainly there is some fear that the focus of the British diplomacy and political elite, and as well as the European ones, will be on the issues of renegotiating the terms on which the United Kingdom will conduct its business with the European Union. And certainly some amount of attention will be shifted from Ukrainian problems to the domestic ones. But I see no connection between the visa-free regime granted or promised to Ukraine with Brexit. Simply because, first and foremost, formally we fulfilled all obligations needed to get this visa-free regime. There are some worries of some nations because of inflow of refugees and migrants, and they want to create a system of on the short notice to cancel this regime. And that's why this is the main concern, not the Brexit itself, not the support of the British public, and certainly we're going to lose a good friend within the EU when Britain will be out.
Great Britain is not going anywhere, so can we possibly maybe even strengthen our connections with the now independent Great Britain?
Yeah, sure. It was independent before, but it was obliged to carry on the general policies drafted in Brussels. So I believe that we can use this misfortune situation, because I just personally regret that the United Kingdom decided to quit, and a lot of my friends from the liberal and conservative way of life, they regret that such a decision has been made. But we can learn a lot of things from that. First and foremost, how to carry on the procedure, because the vote in the ballot cast was in such a short time. One thing. Second thing, the political culture. The Prime Minister, who was against the leave, decided to step down, and it's a good lesson for Ukrainian politicians that not just they needed to amend the constitution, obey the law and their commitments, but also to understand the political culture, where if there is a non-confidence vote, you need to step down. What we can learn from the British, we can see how they renegotiate their terms of their cooperation with the European Union, and possibly we can use it with the aim to adjust our legal framework of cooperation. Certainly, Britain, while it was in the EU and still for 2 years, in the European Union, the decisions are being made by the lowest denominator. It means that the consensus requires to cut left or right extreme point of views on some issues. And Britain, the strong supporter of Ukraine, was trying to do something, and from time to time to take more moderate position than it wanted to have, with the aim to have this consensus. Now, being not abided by this procedure, Britain can do more in terms of the cooperation with Ukraine, in terms of supporting us with the war with Russia and in other issues as well. So we can find positive things in Brexit by cooperating with Britain more, and I believe that the British interests will remain the same. It's just for a short period of time they will be focused on their domestic issues rather than their foreign policy.
So, Mr. Hara, thank you very much for your answers. Thank you very much for your opinion. It is much appreciated.
Thank you for having me.
Unfortunately, this is where we have to leave. You've been watching Ukraine Today. Many thanks for joining us, and I'll see you next time.